Hi, it is a privilege to welcome you to Stand Up and Redo. It is a soulful, honest podcast hosted by me, Petra DeMuse, a woman over 50 who is navigating life's most tender transitions with courage and grace. I have weathered the storms of 2 divorces, raised children into adults, embraced the joy of grandchildren, and learned, perhaps for the first time, how to stand comfortably in my own solitude. Each episode explores the profound wisdom that comes with age, the lessons etched in heartache, the beauty found in unexpected places, the laughter that bubbles up in the quiet, and the peace that settles when we stop running from ourselves. With reflections on love, loss, aging, happiness, and the sacredness of this one wild and precious life, Stand Up and Redo is a companion for anyone who's learning to live fully after everything they thought would last has changed. This is a space for late bloomers, deep feelers, and fierce survivors. Come for the comfort, stay for the truth, and leave a little lighter each time. My favorite holiday is New Year's Eve. And ever since I was a young woman, like really young, I would never fall asleep on New Year's Eve. I would always stay up either to watch the ball drop, to just scream and yell, bang pots and pans, kiss somebody, make New Year's resolutions. Never will I ever fall asleep at midnight, because to me, New Year's is just a time to take everything that you've done wrong that year, or maybe done not as well as you would want to, I don't want to say wrong, or that you want to do better, and to actually make resolutions and goals. And I'm really into goals and strategizing and trying to fix things. So for me, I know that everyone's not into that, but for me, New Year's is like the best holiday. And this is kind of a test, because I'm wondering if this microphone is working. So I'm testing. I'm doing like my episode and using you as a guinea pig, because in my last interview with my uncle, I had my this behind the computer screen. I couldn't believe it. And the whole time I was talking, I was real soft like this. And he was talking nice and loud. And my poor uncle didn't tell me till after that he couldn't hardly hear what I was saying. And then I don't know. So I really messed that up. So I have my little microphone here, and I'm trying to keep it close to me, but I don't want it like up in my face. But we will see from this podcast or this YouTube video how this works. So if you're just listening to the podcast, know that you can see this on YouTube as well. And I have a video, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the microphone and how I'm trying to get used to using it and being close to it. So what I want to share with you is how to add more to your plate. And this is incredible, because my theory of adding more to your plate is actually going to help you. And I'm going to address it in this episode physically, how physically it's going to make you feel better, how emotionally and mentally and cognitively, that's the second thing, it's going to make you think clearer, be more productive, and how the third thing, spiritually. I always have to bring in that spiritual aspect, because that is just, even though I'm making it the third, it's the most crucial one. But I want to talk about how adding things to your plate can actually help you. And the reason being is, this is why. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story about a man named Bob. And Bob was 30 years old. He was a young man. He was single. And he used to go to work every day, and he'd sleep late because he'd stay up really late at night. After work, he might go to the gym for like an hour. But then after that, he would hang out with his buddies, and he would just drink. He might go sit at a bar and have a couple drinks. He would stay out, eat some fast food, maybe get like a cheesesteak with a couple beers, watch a game at the bar. Come back home, just be exhausted because he'd be drinking for after work. Come home, maybe take a shower, and then crank on the TV and just like half out of it, like in zombie state. Watch TV till like midnight, fall asleep. No, he wanted to get up maybe to like do something early in the morning, but just sleep till the very last minute when he got out of bed and went to work again. Then he would do it all over again. And he was a good worker, he had a good job. But overall, he was getting like this big fat belly, because he wasn't exercising or taking time. He would just do the bare minimum. He'd go to the gym like maybe twice a week and lift and think that that was going to like suffice. But yet he wasn't walking. He wasn't moving his body hardly at all. He had a job at a bank, so his job was sedate. So I can't speak for him being similar to other people who have more physical jobs, but he had one of those jobs where he was working in a cubicle. And he just started to notice that he was just getting all of his weight was just like boom, right around his midsection. And also, so he was heavy. He had gained like 20 to 30 pounds over the course of a few years. And he was 30 years old, so he was still a young man. Well, he also was sleep deprived because he'd stay up like watching TV till late on the couch, half falling asleep. And then he'd go upstairs, sleep maybe for 6 hours and get up and do it all over again, but be groggy the next day from drinking alcohol. Well, he met a woman, and he met this woman online, and she had 2 kids, and she was like 27. And they had started dating, and she really liked him, and he really liked her. And they just started getting closer after a year or so, and Bob moved in with Carol. And lo and behold, his life changed. Instead of going to the bar, Carol had an old house. It was an old house from 1900, and it was kind of falling apart. She was on a really strict budget, and he was too. So the two of them decided to start trying to fix up Carol's house, and they couldn't necessarily afford to pay people. So Bob would call Carol, and Carol would be like, "Oh, Bob, on your way home from work, can you stop at Home Depot? We have to, the one stair is rotting. We were going to redo the stairs, remember? Can you pick up wood at Home Depot?" And like, "Okay, Carol." And he started finding that he was doing these at-home projects. So he was adding more to his plate physically. And he wasn't going to the bar and hanging out and drinking with his buddies every night. Every night he was coming home, and the two of them would figure out how to do these projects for the house. And then also the kids were getting older, and they were started like after school sports. So he found himself driving around picking up kids. So he is adding more to his plate. Well, over the course of time, also they were on a really strict budget because he started helping her with her bills, and then he ended up knowing that he was going to marry this woman and falling in love with her and her children. Well, this man started to lose weight, started to actually realize he was eating healthier. He was sleeping better because he was exhausted at night, and he had added a whole bunch more to his plate. And I always think it's interesting when I meet people, especially young women who maybe had a child out of wedlock or had an unexpected pregnancy. I've actually had 2 young women, I'll never forget it, say to me that they were on a course of destruction and then they got pregnant and had a child, and it pretty much saved them. And I do think that's true. And you think about adding more to your plate. And when I talk about this moving forward, that is just one story that gives you an idea of the direction I'm going with adding more to your plate, right? Seriously. But I also want to give you some techniques and things that can help you add more to your plate, because it's easy to say, yeah, just add more to your plate. You'll sleep better. You'll do this better. This will happen. But I just want to give you more specific details about this. And I want to start with sleep and nutrition and movement. So essentially, I want to start with your physical body. What physically is going to help you in 2026 if you add more to your plate? How is it going to help you? And how can you do it? You hardly have any time to do things, right? Well, you'll find this interesting. This is my theory. This is Petra's theory. The more you have on your plate, the easier it is to do. And I know it sounds insane that I'm saying this. Insane. But it's true. And this is why. We're going to start with adding more sleep. And this is where I have failed, because I love to do stuff at night. I am obsessed with, challenges, tasks. Even this podcast, I do it late at night. I often do it like 10, and I find myself doing it between 10 and 11:30. But I need to get earlier with the podcast, and that's something that I need to do. But what I'm going to talk about is how adding more to your plate helps you to sleep. So if you actually decide to wake up in the morning, and instead of getting up at 6, you get up at 5:30, right? So instead of sleeping till 6 or pushing it to 7, if you had a few drinks the night before, or you watch TV till 1 or 2 in the morning, if you choose to make yourself get up at 5:30, you're probably all cringing at the thought of it. But in that 30 minutes, you are going to add things to do. You're not going to shuffle your feet down to that coffee pot and half groggily make the coffee. You're going to wake up and you're going to do 15 minutes of stretching, or 15 minutes of yoga, or 15 minutes of just mild, light stretches. And you're going to then throw in abs. And you're going to throw in an ab workout at least 5 days a week too, and a plank for 2 minutes in the morning. Okay, it sounds crazy, but you can get all this done in 20, 25 minutes, right? And then you're going to come down and with purpose, you're going to make a cup of coffee, and you're going to give yourself time to make the best damn cup of coffee that you can make. And you're going to sit and drink it. And it could be tea, or it could be, if you want to make yourself an egg, if you like to eat breakfast in the morning, you could take 10 minutes to actually make something for yourself that's healthy, not something quick and easy, like not a Pop-Tart, not like instant oatmeal with lots of sugar in it. Like make yourself something like amazing, like a fried egg on a piece of really, you could even put your fried egg on top of like steamed spinach, or you could get creative with how you're going to eat, but you have to choose things that are whole foods and not processed foods. So take 10 minutes even just to do that. Even if you make a smoothie, you can make a smoothie and you can put everything in it that is not processed. Like you can put Greek yogurt, you can put spinach, you can put fresh berries, you could put some flaxseed in that smoothie. Do that in the morning. And I'm telling you to do this. And I'm bossing you around because it's going to keep you alive. It's going to make you live a lot longer. And guess what? When I'm telling you to do this, I'm telling you that I'm doing it too, because I am doing this. So instead of pushing my time to 6:30 or 7 to sleep, I'm getting up at 5:30. Yeah, I'm getting up at 5:30, and I'm asking you to do this with me in 2026. I truly, truly am challenging you to add more to your plate. And I'm going to do it with you. I'm not doing it by myself. You're not doing it by yourself. Okay, so that's what I want you to add to your plate. And you can substitute some of the things I said. Like if you do have some weights in your house and you want to wake up and do like 15 minutes of weightlifting, if you want to take a 15-minute walk, if you can get it together. It takes me a while to get my clothes on and get outside. I find that it's easier for me just to like throw the yoga mat down and do that. But I noticed last year I started doing an ab workout. And I did a 2-minute plank with my yoga workout. And I just started doing this 2-minute plank like probably 4 or 5 days a week. Well, I do that so frequently, and I really do it. I really do time myself for 2 minutes. You know, I put it on my watch. And I just increased my plank now this year for 3 minutes. And I feel so good. And I can actually see from doing this for like 6 months, a year, I've done the plank now for probably almost a year consistently. I can see that I have back muscles. I can actually see them, back muscles that I didn't have before. And I know I told you in my other podcasts that since I started doing the 10 minutes or 15 minutes of yoga every morning, I can actually see that I have muscles in my feet that I never had before, that I never noticed before. So I'm telling you, it's all about adding more to your plate and seeing the payoffs of it. And that 15 minutes, adding the plank and the abs, are going to give you core body strength, okay? So you have to do that too in the morning. And the thing that's going to help you with this is for you to sleep better. You're going to find that you sleep so much better. And I'm going to pause this right now just for 1 minute and get back to you. Okay, I'm back, and you probably didn't even notice that I left. All right, so we were talking about physical things that help you with adding more to your plate. All right, so you get up at 5:30. You're feeling so much better because, honest to God, all that stuff that you did in the morning. Oh, the other thing to do, which I started doing, I bought a little like electric teapot water heater thing that you heat the water up, and you can heat it up to 112 degrees, which is perfect for your body to consume. So I heat up the water to 112 degrees and I squeeze a lemon into it. And actually I do that before I drink my coffee. That's the first thing I do while I'm like preparing my coffee. I'm drinking my water with lemon and just like soaking that into my body. And oh my gosh, that is amazing. So I know I listed a whole bunch of things for you to do when you get up at 5:30. And, maybe for you, it's 6:30 is early because maybe you don't have to be at work until 9, or maybe you have to be to work later. So the times are just telling you to get up earlier. Get up earlier. Give yourself a good 45 minutes earlier than what you get up now. And I know you're going to think I'm crazy and you're going to say, "What? Are you insane?" Especially if you have little kids. I know you're going to say, "That means I have to get up at 4:45?" Yeah. Try to do it. I'm telling you, having that time before your kids get up is going to give you some mental clarity, some sanity, and some time to actually consume things that are healthy for you and take time to not do things on the fly, do things rushed, and replace some of those on the go foods that you are grabbing that are unhealthy, or you're getting somewhere and you haven't eaten, and you're like starving and there's a big giant box of donuts at work and you like start consuming them. You've already gonna have a heads up because you've already done some things healthy for yourself, and it's going to motivate you to keep on track for that day. So there, add that to your plate. I know I sound cocky, and I know I'm making it sound easy. It's not easy. I struggle with it, but I force it. I force it, and I can tell you when I force it, I feel amazing. And that's what I wanted to go back about that physicality thing. I had a person challenge me to start doing ab workouts, and I had been doing ab workouts like inconsistently, like twice a week for core strength. I started doing like a 10-minute ab workout that my son gave me for rock climbers, even though I'm not a rock climber. And I noticed such a big strength in my back. Like I felt like everything is easier just to sit up straight. I just feel like so much stronger in my core. And I started doing more extensive ab workouts because I had this challenge to try to get a six pack, which I'm still working on, and I'm going to get it. I'm going to get a six pack in 2026. But I had started then really consistently doing abs at the gym and at home with my little plank. Then I would do more extensive ab workout. I do it like 5 days a week, and I'd add on more crunches and a little bit more of the whole entire workout that I was doing. It was like 10-minute abs, 10 exercises. And I decided to add a little bit more extensive abs. Well, within like 6 weeks, I'm telling you, I could see my abs start to have muscles. And I'm talking to you as a person who is just a regular person, telling you that if you are consistently doing something, it's going to pay off. You can't, and it has to be a new standard of living for you. I feel like we can't think of this as a quick fix. You can't think of changing your life. Like sometimes I do the Whole30 diet for 30 days, and I think it actually does help me lose weight quickly. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? This isn't really sustainable for me. So I'm starting to learn, instead of doing those quick fixes like, dry January, just stop drinking as much alcohol each day, and maybe just like in moderation do it, because I'm learning that it's easier to live life as setting a standard for life, not setting a quick fix goal, like not setting that you're going to lose 15 pounds in a month, but that you're going to change your whole entire life and lose weight and maintain it for the long haul. Because I remember there was one thing I learned. I remember this doctor lost a lot of weight when I was young, and I was like, how did you lose weight? He lost a ton of weight, and he was keeping it off, and I noticed it. And he said it was really interesting what he did. He always drank real sugary sweet, like sodas and iced teas, put lots of sugar in his coffee. And he said he didn't even change what he ate. He just stopped drinking like iced tea with sugar in it and soda and putting sugar in his coffee. So sweet drinks. He stopped drinking his calories. But he still was eating like whatever, he wasn't on some major diet. He just cut that out. Well, I learned over the course of time, because I used to be a little bit heavier, that if I cut out like certain things, like I stopped putting half and half in my coffee every day. I drink my coffee black a lot. I like black coffee. But I learned if you cut out, and I heard this somewhere, and I'm speaking from my experience and my recall, but if you cut out 100 calories a day for a year, you'll lose 10 pounds. Now, of course, that's going to be different for a heavy person versus a lighter person, but that's what I heard, 100 calories a day for a year. So if you stop thinking about instant gratification and start thinking about life changes that are going to change your life forever, you might have 100 years to live. So why do you have to think that everything has to be instantly within a month? Think of it like the long haul. Like, all right, instead of putting like 2 sugars in my coffee, I'm going to put 1 sugar in my coffee, or no sugar at all. Or instead of having 2 big cups of coffee with a ton of like heavy cream or half and half in it, I'm going to have 1 cup of coffee in the morning with heavy cream. And then I'm going to switch over to water or black tea, or just make some kind of a switch. And you don't have to necessarily take things off your plate. You can add things to your plate. So when you take off that second coffee with cream, maybe add a black tea. Maybe add a herbal tea, maybe add a glass of water with lemon, maybe add something to your plate in replace of, of course you're not going to add a cup of avocado instead of a cup of half and half. You're going to add something that has like 100 calories less. But think of it that way. Like, think of it as you're going to add something in place of something that you're taking away. So when you get up early in the morning and you go through your day at work, and you come home after work and you have this routine where you're just exhausted, or you do go to that bar and you have a couple drinks, or you come home and you make yourself a cocktail. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Stop doing something consistently that is damaging to you. Like for me, I can get into the habit, and I'm going to really confess this greatly. I can get into the habit of drinking wine every single day with dinner, and then having another glass after dinner. I could do it every day easily, and I do enjoy it. I do enjoy wine. And I've done this thing where I've given myself like no wine for 30 days. I'm not going to do wine between Monday and Friday. I'm only going to do it on the weekends. And I've learned it's better just to not think about having a glass of wine with dinner every night. Have it with a good meal. If I'm going to cook a really big meal on the weekends, I'll pour myself some wine while I'm cooking it. But if I'm just making a quick routine meal at night for 20 minutes, I might actually do I still put time and effort into that drink, and I add to my plate. I'm not just taking the wine away. I'm going to add maybe a really beautiful glass of seltzer water with some lemon and lime, or I might even smush up some berries for my seltzer water, like some raspberries and blueberries. And for me, it's almost like I always thought it was interesting because I was trying to drink less alcohol, and my cousin had a great thing. She said, well, Petra, what do you like about drinking a glass of wine? I said, honestly, it's not even the wine as much as it's the feeling that I'm walking around with a wine glass. So I started putting seltzer water in a pretty wine glass. I actually started making a mocktail, I suppose, where I would walk around with my little wine. It was more of the ritualistic feeling of doing something that was calming me down. And the same thing with the coffee in the morning. I really take my time to make coffee because it's that calming, ritualistic experience that calms me down. Same thing with, I think, making a drink or having a cocktail. So I do still in moderation, you go on a bike ride with your friends, you get a beer afterwards, but I don't routinely drink alcohol anymore because I feel like that is where it was doing me in as far as gaining weight and having this exhausted feeling. And for me, I didn't struggle with quitting drinking alcohol. It was more like I said, a ritualistic thing. But I can tell you that replacing not just alcohol, when I'm not saying alcohol, but something else, that afternoon Dunkin' Donuts vanilla latte that you get every day, that you are driving to pick up your kids, and on the way, your little brain is like, oh, vanilla latte, vanilla latte. Replace it with something else that you do special for yourself. I don't know what it could be, but I know the vanilla latte is really good. But I know that that's something that costs money and is high calories. And realistically, that's the one thing that you should probably let go and put something else on your plate. Maybe spend more time doing something at home that takes a little time, preparing something to take with you that you have when you come in the car to pick up the kids. Maybe make yourself half of a little mocktail in a carry cup and take it with you for after work, and take that extra 5 minutes at home. It would be that 10 minutes that you go to get in the Dunkin' Donuts line, right? You're just taking that time and using it in the front of your day to make something healthy happen. So adding more to your plate. Yeah. Add taking time to prepare that delicious food or that snack that you're going to eat after work in the car when you pick up the kids, and maybe pack it in a lunch bag and keep it in your car with some ice. And then you have that ready to go. Maybe a little handful of grapes that every day you're going to eat grapes when you go pick up your kids while you're driving in the car. And that is going to also be something you add to your plate. You're adding it to your plate, but the benefits are going to way out going to be so much better for you and weigh out the risks. The benefits of eating a handful of grapes are going to outweigh the risk of eating a vanilla latte every day and taking time away to go get it at Dunkin' Donuts. So I think too, for me, when I start getting into eating healthy food, like when I start doing a smoothie every day, I crave a smoothie. If I eat a donut or a breakfast sandwich every day, I crave a breakfast sandwich. I think if you add to your plate the things maybe at first that you don't want to add to your plate, that are a little bit more work, that are a little bit healthier, you're going to crave it. You're going to crave having a salad at night with salmon on it. I actually go to hotels for work a lot, and I get excited thinking about having a salad with salmon on top. And I know it sounds crazy, but I start to crave it. I start to go through like a little bit of a withdrawal. I'm like, I need to have that salmon on top of that salad instead of getting like the cheesesteak or the wings or the things that are unhealthy for you. I'll choose like the healthy options. And I do find that I just feel so much better overall. My skin's better. I sleep better if you don't eat sugar and you're eating healthy. So there you go, adding more to your plate as far as exercise and eating better. And another thing that can help you with emotional well-being and physical well-being. Well, we're going to segue in to mental and cognitive well-being. So if you think about the physical well-being with your sleep and eating better, that's going to go into your mental clarity, right? Because if you're not bogged down with lots of sugar and sleep deprivation, your mental clarity is just spot on. You can function so much better during the day. And you probably don't even realize that you're working in a fog or you're living in a fog until you start sleeping more, eating less sugar, and eating healthier, because then you start to think clear and you're like, wow, you see your skin change, you see your belly get thinner, you just see things, and it doesn't happen quickly. It's over time. So it's consistency. But that goes into the mental clarity part of it. And I want to talk about stacking habits. I read a book, and it was a phenomenal book, and I can't remember the name of the book, but one whole chapter was about stacking healthy habits. And this is going to help with your mental clarity as well. I'm a big stacker. Like, I am right now trying to learn Italian and doing devotions every morning on top of drinking my coffee and my yoga. And I stack my habits, and they are very ritualistic the way that I do it. I do my stuff upstairs in my bedroom, then I come down and enjoy making my coffee, and then I take my coffee into the room that I sit in the chair, and I have my devotions there. Always set up, the Bible is just sitting there open. And I sit there, and sometimes my devotions, I don't feel like doing it, and I have to force it, and I might only read the Bible for 5 minutes. Sometimes I might read it for 10 minutes. Don't read it. I don't have a lot of time, but I pause and I just pray. And that would be a time. There have been times when I do meditation for a minute or 3 minutes. I've never been a big meditator. But I have found that when I'm really stressed, if I pray, and then even if I feel like I'm so stressed that I'm not even focusing on the prayer, I can't pray to God because I'm so stressed about something that's happening in my life, I still sit there and I pause for a moment and I just breathe. And I do meditate for like a minute. And even if you just give it to God and you just pause, close your eyes, and just don't think about anything. Just breathe for a minute. Oh my goodness, it's so healing. That's one thing in 2026, I'd love to get into meditation more, and I'm going to tell you I don't have time, which, how can I tell you that when I'm telling you to do all this stuff, right? So I'm not going to tell you I don't have time. Somehow, in my 2026, I'm going to do some more meditation techniques. And I've been obsessed with this one guy. He has reels, and I don't know if I can pull him up while we're sitting here and talking, but he actually pops up on my Instagram every so often, and he's this absolutely gorgeous man. And I actually stopped and looked at his reel because he's so hot and handsome and built so nice. I saw him like in Utah doing some kind of, not Utah, on some kind of red rocks, wherever he was, doing some kind of yoga one day. And I was like, who was that? And he's an older man. He's over 50. And I want to see if he'll pop up on my reels. And if he doesn't, I will actually tell you who he is. But it's really neat. He's on my Instagram. And he pops up every so often, and he does these live feeds. And in his live feeds, he does like breathing exercises. So now I've gotten obsessed with just like, even if I'm not doing it, sometimes when I'm driving down the road, I'll just listen to him, and he's like, it's just, and I'll breathe a little bit with him, and I'll do like, it's almost like a meditation breathing type exercise. And I'm like, after I do it, and I probably look like, if anybody actually saw me in my car while I'm driving down the road, oh my gosh, I was just driving yesterday home from the Poconos, and he came on, and I'm in the car going, that I was doing all these stupid breathing exercises that he was telling us to do. And I just fell in love with this man. And I look at him, first off, he wrote a book about being cut after 50. And I'm going to attach him to this podcast or this YouTube video, his site, because I don't know, I just like listening to him breathe. But the meditation apps are going to be beneficial. And I did do that one with Tyus Gibson after a breakup. And I did it only for like, I forget how many days it was, but it was very therapeutic for me. It helped me so, so much. So I do believe in meditation. I just haven't been doing it. So I am going to add that to my plate. I'm going to suggest you try to add it to your plate, even just a little bit. But that's all for the mental well-being, the things that I just spoke of. And if you think about it, your physical and your mental well-being really do connect. And I even threw in the third thing, which was spiritual well-being, because I talked about stacking habits. And for me, spirituality is so important, and not losing sight of it. And I do lose sight of it. I do put other things first. And spirituality is one thing I think that we let go of when we're stressed. And it's the one thing we should hold on to when we're stressed. For me, spirituality and taking a moment to talk to God, to be patient, to listen to Him, to pause is crucial. And I believe part of spirituality for me is helping other people. For me, if I just go read my Bible and pray every day, selfishly for myself, what good is that? So I feel like if my spirituality is something that can reach out to others and help them, and I can be a strong arm for them, God will give me the way to do that. He'll give me the money to give to people or help people to tithe, or He'll give me the money to help give to different organizations. Or I also believe that God will help me to have time to pray with a friend or to be available for a friend. And I spoke a lot about, I don't know if in one of my stories, I told you about having things happen to you that are like from God, and you do know that they're related to somehow some kind of, either if it's not God, it's some kind of angel and demon warfare. I talked about when I'm close with God, sometimes things happen, and it's not like, I don't believe that God has to give you signs. I know that it talks about that's not you shouldn't ask for signs from God, but I do believe that God gives you little indicators that He's with you, and that you are His, and that He loves you. I struggle a lot, sometimes from things that have happened to me in the past. And I told you a story in my death podcast about, these two young men that I found. I was the first responder for two young men. And I had been with a lot of people that had died. My father, I held his hand. I know I was with other people comforting them in the med-surg, as a med-surg nurse when they passed away. And I never really felt like I had any trauma from that. It felt like it was a very peaceful experience, and I was helping people to be comforted when they were dying. But these two young men had died, and in a car accident separate times. And I happened to be the first responder and had to be with their body while I was waiting for the ambulance to come. And the one man, actually, I did feel his pulse a little bit, which was heartbreaking because I couldn't help him. He was suspended upside down in the car. But that was very traumatizing for me. And I was, even like years later, sometimes I think about that. And I think when I was saying, like, as my son aged and he became the same age as those two young men that died in their 20s, it, like, all these rushes of emotion would come back to me. And I think the one young man that died, I felt like this amazing, like, God, I felt like this good, like almost like his spirit was either going to heaven or just this joyful, like peaceful feeling when I found him. And the other man, it was kind of like iffy. I just didn't feel that way. But the one interesting thing I want to tell you about how God, sometimes you're going through some rough times. And I remember I was running past where that one guy had died a lot because that's my running course. And I remember just feeling like this hurt and sadness when I would go near to where he had died. And I had come home and was standing in my kitchen. I can still remember the spot. And it was about 10 years after this guy had died. I was standing in my kitchen and I'm talking to my cousin who lives in New Jersey. And she's like, Petra, remember that guy? And she described the second guy that had passed away perfectly because there were certain things about finding him that she was talking to me about. She goes, what's his name? And I couldn't remember his name. I said, I don't know, but it's weird that you bring him up. I said, I was just thinking about him. I'd gone for a run. And then next, a friend who lives here in Lancaster, out of the blue, a friend who I never talked to. She's like one of those people I used to work with, and maybe I see her twice a year. And if we have like a real urgent situation or a need for something, we'll reach out to each other, but we're not in a constant connection. She texted me within like 10 minutes of my cousin asking me about this man, exactly the same thing. She's like, Petra, I was just talking to somebody about that young man that you found. We were the first responder to. What was his name? Oh my goodness. So, wow. Like within 10 minutes, I just felt the need then to pray. I started praying for his family. I just started praying. And I feel like God was letting me know that, Petra, you need to pray. You need to pray. I didn't know if I needed to pray for him or people that knew him or what I needed to pray for, but I needed to pray. And I do feel like God gives you things that are so like thrown in your face to remind you that he is there. That, and I could tell you other things, but you might think I'm really strange if I tell you some of the other spiritual experiences I've had. But spirituality is, I do believe, even if you're falling away, you don't think you have time to take a moment and to pray and to be peaceful and to sit and to listen to God. And if you don't believe in God, then I just ask you to challenge yourself to start talking to him anyway. Start praying to him and just see if he starts talking back to you. Because there is a God. Yeah, there is. I know it. So that's what I had to share with you. I had to share for 2026 to put more on your plate. And I'm not challenging you. I'm just asking you to do it with me. I'm going to put more on my plate. And I'm really excited about this year because I'm at a state now where I want to see, I'm 55. And I actually have seen my body change in the past year just from doing yoga. And in the past, when I did like really intense aerobics or, cardiovascular things like walking or running, I definitely see my body change. But this year, I actually want to see my body morph into something that it's never been before. I was thinking about starting to do weightlifting and training and see if I can get a cut body like the guy that I'm going to share the reel who's over 50 and he's like cut. Because I'm like, if he can look like that, why can't I look like that? And I think we stunt ourselves into thinking that because we're older, we can't achieve things that we might have been able to achieve when we were younger. And I want to break that mold. I want to change. So I'll share this journey with you. I'll probably do a couple more podcasts or YouTube videos about maybe exercising and lifting weights and working out because I truly love it. I love it. I love transformation and I'm really excited about keeping up with my ab workout and getting this 6-pack. And that person that challenged me was someone I met for a brief time, and that's okay because I don't talk to that person really much ever. But the one thing about him coming into my life was for that brief moment was that he challenged me to get a 6-pack. And guess what? I'm going to get one For myself, though, not for him. For me, I'm getting a six pack, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm excited about just life changes in 2026 with both spirituality and physical health, of course, not just the way I look, but the way I feel and how, I'm feeling blessed with that. And then also cognitive. I do not sleep much. I sleep probably 5 to 6 hours a night. And I act so proud of that. I'm always like, oh, I only need 5 hours sleep a night. Well, I think I need more than that. And I need to challenge myself to turn the TV off, to go up to bed. And this is the thing that's going to be hard for me. All the things I've talked about to you are things that I can kind of do because I've done them before. And I just am going to put them all together and do them consistently. But the one thing I'm going to add that's going to be really hard for me, and if you can share with me anything or encourage me with this, I do not go to bed early. I go to bed at like 11 or 12 every night. And a lot of times I'm scrolling on my phone. I fall asleep watching like three episodes of a series and I start to fall asleep on the couch, and then I like drag myself upstairs at like 1 a.m. And I don't want to do that. I want to be more purposeful with sleep. I want to be more purposeful with getting like my phone away from me and electronics away from me at night. It's really hard for me to do that. It's extremely hard for me to do that. And that is the challenge that I'm going to make myself do somehow. And I really appreciate any help that you can give me with that, because that has been the worst thing for me is I stay up late because I just don't want the day to end. I want to watch TV. I want to relax. I want to do so much. Sometimes I'm working on my podcast late at night, but I want to set limitations on that. And I know that this stand up and redo is basically the whole thing was what my stand up and redo is going to be. So I don't know if I need to do that, but also I just want to thank you for taking the time to listen to the stand up and redo. And I want to also encourage you for 2026 to add more to your plate. And my stand up and redo is for 2026. I'm going to add more to my plate. And the measurable thing that you're going to see in me, and I'm going to see in me, is a six pack. I'm going to have a six pack. Yep. I'm going to have a six pack, and I can't wait. Have a great day and Happy New Year, and thank you. Hi, I'd like to give credit to Sarah Gephardt for the cover page of this podcast. This podcast is a work based on the personal experiences, reflections, and memories of the speaker. The events described are true to the best of the speaker's knowledge and recollection. Some names, locations, identifying characteristics, and timelines have been changed or altered to protect the privacy of the individuals involved. In some cases, composite characters have been created or dialogue has been reconstructed based on memory. The intention of this podcast is not to defame, malign, or harm any individual or entity. Rather, it is to share the speaker's journey with honesty, vulnerability, and integrity. Any opinions expressed are solely those of the speaker and are not intended as statements of fact regarding any person, group, or organization. Listeners should keep in mind that human memory is inherently subjective and selective, and while every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, this podcast reflects the speaker's perspective and truth. Thank you.